Good morning, everyone. We hope everyone is staying healthy and safe. Welcome to our mini webinar on school-based Medicaid best practices. Today, we will share some practices that will hopefully help your school district implement the school-based Medicaid program responsibly. Please remember, these are only suggestions. It's up to each individual district to decide what policies and procedures work best for them. Our host today will be Stephanie O'Connor and myself, Lindsay Kimbleton. We both work at the Kentucky Department of Education on the school-based Medicaid program. Next, Lucy Centers from the Department of Medicaid Services will be joining us. She coordinates the Medicaid school-based program for DMS. In order to get the most out of this webinar, please send questions to the email address shown on the screen. We will stop periodically throughout this presentation to answer questions. Once again, we hope today is beneficial, and please make sure to ask questions.
Parental consent best practices. As always, parental consent is one of the core pieces of our Medicaid programs in the school. Medicaid parental consent is required one time as long as the student is continuously enrolled. After assigned parental consent is received, parents must be given an annual notification that the school district will be billing Medicaid for the services provided to their child. We now have a dual parental consent that will cover both the IEP and expanded care portion of the program. Please do not alter it in any way. Also, this new consent does not void out the current IEP parental consents. From this point forward, we ask that the dual parental consent is the only school consent that districts use. This will make it much easier for a district to have the flexibility in deciding if they want to participate in the expanded care portion of the program. We are working on getting the new parental consent uploaded into Infinite Campus. We will let everyone know as soon as it is available. Since everyone is learning together, we feel that including the dual parental consent in annual registration packets will be the easiest way for a district to obtain it for all students. We are excited to announce that the Department for Medicaid Services has approved electronic signatures for the Medicaid parental consent. Also, districts must come up with new policies and procedures on how to track signed parental consent for all children. If your district is only participating in the traditional IEP program, your current policies and procedures should be sufficient. Please make sure all policies regarding this program are written down and included in your quality assurance document.
Crucial practitioner best practices. The practitioners are the most important component of this program. They not only provide the necessary services to the students, but they are also the ones responsible for documentation for Medicaid reimbursement. KDE recommends that all practitioners input their logs into the billing system within 7 days. In a hospital setting, all services have to be entered within 24 hours, so 7 days should be a reasonable time frame. Also, all practitioners must document their services. It would be mandated that they document them in the electronic billing software. This is not causing any extra work for them. It just mandates where they store their service documentation. This allows schools to have all service documentation in one place and maximizes the Medicaid reimbursement. During a monitoring review a couple years ago, it was brought to our attention that the practitioner had not inputted any notes for the past 6 months into the billing software. No one at the school district was aware of this, and this could have potentially costed the schools thousands of dollars of lost reimbursement. There are lessons to be learned from this. The program coordinators should be monitoring each practitioner to make sure they are inputting their treatment notes in a timely manner. Also, the practitioner cannot catch up 6 months of service notes. We would never recommend mass inputting of claims. It always results in errors. Another suggestion is to make sure that the updated IEPs are being shared with practitioners. We often see that there was a change in the IEP and the practitioner was unaware, which resulted in a payback situation. Now more than ever, documentation will be crucial to this program. Please make sure practitioners are being very detailed and thorough in their service notes. You will never get dinged for having too much information. Service and treatment notes will be a critical element in determining medical necessity for the expanded care portion of the program. Also, if a practitioner is providing services via telehealth, they must document this in their notes.
Administrative best practices. We would like to first say thank you to all the coordinators of this program. Medicaid is forever changing, and your contribution makes a huge impact on the kids. All districts must be responsible for their Kentucky Health Nets accounts. Please make sure that a school district employee is the administrator of this account. Billing agents should only be granted limited access. The program coordinator should be logging into Kentucky Health Net at a minimum once a month. This account is how Medicaid communicates important updates and policies with providers. Finally, schools should be reviewing their remittance advices. Remittance advices are a receipt of all your claims. Also, when calculating quarterly financial data for the SBAC program, please make sure to keep a copy of the original reports. In Munis, a report may change when it's run on 2 different dates, and we would hate for a district to get additional monitoring findings. All documentations for the school-based Medicaid programs must be kept for 5 years, including practitioner credentials and licensures. We find that electronic copies work best. We have found that one of the biggest struggles is that these programs are always changing. In order to keep everyone updated, we recommend sending out monthly emails on current policies and procedures. We know that these may be cumbersome, but will pay off in the end.
Peer review best practices. Every district is required to complete an annual peer review to stay in program compliance. A peer review is a simple self-monitoring exercise. This allows school districts to monitor their claims, identify errors, and reverse claims before they become monitoring findings. We recommend that the schools use the KDE monitoring forms. It is best practice to complete a peer review on a semi-annual basis. This enables the school districts to identify any potential problems before they escalate. For each peer review, we recommend creating practitioner teams to practice this exercise. The peer review team should be comprised of professionals that are employed at the district and are familiar with the program. A peer review team may include practitioners, program coordinators, and the district health coordinator. No member of the team reviews the records of a student he or she serves. Ideally, if peer reviews are completed semi-annually, different teams should be used to complete each one. By having different teams, this allows a more thorough review and less errors for the district. Just a reminder, make sure you are keeping detailed minutes and results of the peer reviews. These records shall be kept for 5 years. KDE will be collecting peer reviews for the upcoming monitoring during the 2021 school year.
Quality assurance best practices. Starting the 2021 school year, KDE will mandate that all schools have a KDE approved quality assurance on file. Quality assurance documents will detail out the school district's policies and procedures for their Medicaid school-based programs. This will allow KDE to determine program shortfalls and improve future monitoring reviews. For example, we know that a school needs to get Medicaid parental consent. The quality assurance document will outline every step in that process, such as, number 1, dual parental consents are to be given out in annual registration packets. Number 2, all returned signed parental consents will go to the DOS. Number 3, the DOS or administrative assistant will put the parental consent date into their billing software. Number 4, the original signed parental consent will go into the child's due process folder, and so on. Does anyone see how this process can be improved? Remember, it's best practice to keep electronic copies of all parental consents. Schools are more than welcome to start submitting their quality assurances this year. This would allow the school district a much quicker processing time and make sure that the district doesn't miss the 2021 deadline. We'll be glad to help schools with these. Please reach out to us if any assistance is needed. Please know that there is a basic outline located on the KDE school-based website to help schools get started. 2 schools have already been proactive on submitting their quality assurances to us. There are several levels of review that we must complete before approving a quality assurance document. Thank you for your patience during this learning process. Once your quality assurance is approved, it will be stored in GMAP. When developing quality assurances, collaborate with all parties to ensure the best plan. Once changes are made, please resubmit to KDE for final approval. Also, once your quality assurance is approved, make sure to distribute to all applicable employees, including practitioners.
Best practice for covered services. There are so many best practices that could be used for covered services. Here are just a few that we would like to address today. After discussing with multiple districts and billing agents, these issues are at the top of the list. One of the most overlooked items on the KDE annual application is making sure to check assistive technology under the services provided. It is best practice to always include assistive technology, so your school has the flexibility throughout the year to seek reimbursement for these items. Please note that assistive technology is only covered through our traditional IEP portion of the program and is not available through expanded care. Another best practice item is to keep backup documentation for mileage claimed for specialized transportation. This documentation can be from MapQuest, Google Maps, etc. Please remember that you can only bill the number of miles from the child's house to the school, not the actual bus route. KDE will be collecting this information during the upcoming monitoring reviews for the 2021 school year. Best practices for delegated nursing services is that each individual hands-on service is to make sure that it's documented the actual time the services are provided. For example, we know that it does not always take a child exactly 8 minutes at the exact same time each day to go to the restroom. We would expect to see variations in times and in the services provided on a daily basis.
We have one quick question that came through, and it just asked if we will have access to this PowerPoint. Yes, you will have access to this PowerPoint, and also this webinar. It will be posted on our KDE school-based Medicaid website. Okay, contractual agreement best practices. It has come to our attention that with the expansion of our current school-based Medicaid programs, many businesses have been soliciting school districts in Kentucky. Please remember that Medicaid reimbursement is only meant to cover a small percentage of the school's actual cost. We want to make sure that the schools don't get in over their head and are making financially sound decisions when it comes to this program. For example, a therapist may cost around $70,000, including their salaries and benefits. A school will only recoup a very small portion of this, such as $6,500. Also, when contracting with a billing agent, please make sure that you have a contract agreement in place that protects both the schools and the billing agents. Also, remember that a school is the responsible entity, not the billing agent. Also, when changing billing agents, you must notify your previous billing agent. Failure to do so can result in HIPAA violations. The billing agent's access must be changed in Kentucky HealthNet. We don't want a previous billing agent having access to HIPAA, FERPA sensitive data. Also, please be sure to notify KDE as well.
The IEP has always been a major component of our program. The IEP will still determine medical necessity for traditional IEP part of the program. Please make sure to always be diligent when creating or modifying IEPs. Specialized transportation seems to always be forgotten when amending IEPs. Please make sure that if a child still qualifies for specialized transportation, that it is included in the related service section of the IEP. In order to make this program run efficiently, a district must be following the same policies and procedures for every child, regardless of Medicaid eligibility. Remember, schools will not know every child that may qualify for Medicaid. For example, the IEP must state if a child is receiving group therapy. It is best practice to put the statement small group and/or individual therapy in all IEPs. This creates less room for potential errors and discrepancies.
We have had one more question come in. We're very close to finishing up the slides on this webinar, so we're going to continue with the slides, and at the very end, we will go ahead and answer questions as they come in. Okay, program updates. DMS is now allowing electronic signatures for Medicaid parental consent and KDE annual applications. We hope that this will help our school districts complete this process while staying healthy and safe. Also, please make sure that when you are filling out applications, you must use the 3-digit employee ID number from your billing agent system. This is not a school ID or a MUNIS number. This data is very important because it will help us keep a better track of the rendering practitioner. Please note that telehealth is not included on KDE's annual application or on amendments because it's a type of service delivery. The application and amendments are only used for making changes to practitioners and services. Amendments will no longer be accepted via mail or email. All amendments will need to be uploaded into GMAP. When uploading these amendments, you will need to upload the amendment form under the amendment folder and the practitioner licensures under the certification licensure folders. As previously stated for the applications, practitioners, licensures, certifications must be in the same order they are on the amendment form. Don't worry, we are working on directions for this process, and they will be available on KDE's school-based website August 1st of 2020.
Keep an eye out for the upcoming fall webinar. This webinar will cover more details on our expanded care program to assist our schools in this implementation. If there are any specific topics you would like us to address, please email them to the email shown on the screen. We are excited to announce that we are in the process of moving our annual monitoring process to a paperless system. It will be completely online, and we are taking great measures to assure the utmost HIPAA and FERPA compliance. Last but not least, our annual KDE monitoring review for this upcoming school year will be requesting some additional information. School districts will need to submit peer review documentation for the year being monitored. Don't worry, we will be flexible, but we need at a minimum the outcomes of the review. Peer review documentation may consist of minutes, sign-in sheets, monitoring forms, etc. Also, we will now be requesting backup financial documentation that was used to calculate the one-way mileage for specialized transportation.
Okay, we have a couple questions. We're going to go ahead and answer those. The first question is, my district is in the process of transitioning to online registration. Is it possible to include the Medicaid consent form in the online registration questions on Infinite Campus? Yes, since we now have approval for the Medicaid parental consents to have electronic signatures be accepted, then that would be ideal to include it in the online registration paperwork. The second question is, we will have 2 partners in our district providing nursing services. What guidance would you give if the district and the agencies agree to allow the district to seek reimbursement on behalf of these agencies? So you're having 2 other places providing nursing services in your district. A couple things, I would assume they're under contract. So for contracted therapists, you always want to make sure that they are not billing as well as you are billing, because you don't want to double dip. But I would just make sure that you have a great contract in place to protect you, and also make sure that those contracted therapists are mandated, are required to input notes into your billing system. And then I have one more question. Actually, that is all of the questions we have for today. We can stay on the line for a couple more minutes in case anybody else has any more questions. Here is our contact information. Steph, myself, and Lindsay's contact, and then, of course, Lucy Center's contact information at the Department of Medicaid Services. We hope that you found today beneficial, and we look forward to speaking with everybody soon again.